All right. Sexless marriage, should you just accept it? I had a comment from a guy on last week's video saying people change emotionally, physically, and that's just part of it, and that sex shouldn't be considered a deal breaker for marriage, or you shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. First off, I think that's a very nice guy response, unfortunately. And it also makes me wonder if that person ever had a great sex life, because if you did, you would never be willing to accept a sexless relationship. And personally, if you're entering into a monogamous long-term relationship, doesn't mean there aren't seasons or times where maybe it won't be happening. But the issue is, are both parties okay with where the sex life is? And that's typically not the case. So this thought that sexless marriage is okay is only if both of you are good with no sex.
That is so exceedingly rare based on studies and my practice and all kinds of
come
things.
on in. Because the reality is a sexless marriage is a symptom of other problems. And the guy was like, well, if you consider that a deal breaker in a marriage, you shouldn't have got married in the first place. If I decided I no longer wanted to have sex, how long would you stick around?
Probably not very long.
Yeah. And do I define sex as penis and vagina?
Oh, no. That's a huge thing, though, too. Like, how you define sex
Exactly.
is really important.
If you've never had great sex, you're willing to have a sexless life, I'm sorry for you. But again, this is a component. Now, I've had a past spouse who had surgery, and we had an extended period of no sex. Never gave it a second thought.
And that's different than what you're saying. That's
exactly.
That's not one person just randomly deciding,
right,
just not gonna anymore.
And the fact is, if you are going to decide, and we hear a lot of, well, I'm asexual. We know that's a lie in most cases, because only 5% of people are asexual. It's their excuse.
Yeah.
And you've seen it on my videos, and you've seen it in your practice. What percentage of women are unhappy with sexless relationships?
I can't give you an exact number, but I know that it is at least equal to men.
Yeah. And if you look in the comments on my sexless marriage videos, 50% of them are women who are unhappy with it. There's groups on Facebook, and it's the women who are frustrated.
Rank sex as one of the major factors for happiness in a relationship.
Yeah, and the National Marriage Project, because I always talk about dating your wife, weekly date night equates to 360% greater satisfaction with the marriage, and it is a 300 and something percent satisfaction with the sex life. Because if you're dating, you're focusing on connection and intimacy, which leads to the byproduct of sex. And so we have a world that there are guys who are going, it's okay to be in a sexless relationship. That's probably not true in most cases. We have a society that shames you and doesn't educate you about sex. Everything works against it.
There's hormones.
There's hormones.
There's hormones involved in bonding that are more prevalent with skin-to-skin contact and sexual activity.
Yeah.
And that is a huge part of that connection. Yeah. So,
how many people that you are aware of in sexless relationships would classify the rest of their relationship as great? Do you know of one?
No, I've not met one.
Yeah. That's the thing that everyone overlooks. You're not in some great relationship most of the time. Is there exceptions? Of course.
Of course there are.
But it isn't when you both are happy with a sexless relationship. It's when one person is okay with no sex and the other isn't. You are rightfully okay to say, yeah, this is not acceptable. And it should be a deal breaker. If you've worked on yourself, you're a grounded, confident man who understands how to pleasure their partner and put some good energy into that. And so we're both on the same page that we're not going to live in a sexless marriage.
Not by choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm cut in half somehow, well, we'll figure it out.
Every comment.
Be quiet. Every comment is a bad comment.
Yeah, I know.
The minute it was
I know. I was like, at least I didn't ask which half we're keeping. But part of it is, again, the lack of sex education, thinking only penis and vagina
Right.
is sex. Because when there's no sex, there's no connection, there's no intimacy. So, yes, if you're both happy with having no sex, well, great. You can all live a substandard existence, in my opinion. But the reality is that is not the case in well over 90% of the situations. So you need to work on yourself, level up, and see if you can lead her to deeper intimacy and connection and back to a wonderful sex life. And if not, don't hesitate when you've done all the work and you put in the time to say, you know what, this isn't working for me. All right, guys, have a great week.